Hey guys, my name is William Walker here with Trekker's Delight. Welcome to Trek Reviews, our Thursday main show that we do every Thursday. Is that a crazy episode or what? So today we have my friends here, Roy, Danger, Michael, and Marie. Oh my freaking goodness.
I loved it.
How's everyone doing today?
Great.
Okay, and we all look good in our red and black and red and black and black and black, red and black. We just
what's great was this was completely not planned, by the way.
This was not planned.
You just all just sort of happened to match.
Not at all. So as soon as you see this, get ready to share it with your friends, share it with your family, because we have some tea. We already have a difference of opinion, and I'm here for it because I'm ready. I'm ready. As long as I don't die, because I'm ready. All right, here we go.
What's up, Trekkies? It's your boy Will Walford here with Trekker's Delight, a Star Trek-inspired podcast. Before we get started, we're going to give away $100, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our channel where we will announce the lucky winner every single week. Now, welcome to Trekker's Delight.
I just want to say I was here to look at Michael's face when he did not know that second half was coming.
So you all can't call out the fact that everything shows on my face. Like it's bad. You should see me in meetings when we're sitting in the observation lounge, and it's pretty bad.
So that's actually I'm kind of bummed that the mask mandate is being lifted, because now I have to remember that people can actually see my face, and that's a bit of a struggle, not gonna lie, because I definitely got called out in a meeting this morning for my "that's a really dumb idea" face.
I'm still mad that I have to wear pants during live stream video chats now. Do you know how stressful that is?
Well, just tilt the camera up.
How did we get here already?
Look, okay.
William, Michael.
Jermaine and Manny should have known by leaving the first officer here, and as well as Marie, the queen. Well, the original queen.
Not the board queen.
Not the board queen. I am not that cool. But to be fair, if we're talking about shucking pants, I get to wear dresses, so I already did that.
And you get to wear the dress above the dress.
I do.
Well, William, you could wear a kilt.
I would not mind wearing what they wore in that first episode of TNG. I wouldn't mind.
How is there not a Star Trek kilt pattern, by the way? I don't
know. Now this I made it because this type of the vest-like late TNG early Voyager uniform doesn't exist yet, and probably won't now that we moved into other uniforms, and that's what I like about it, and it's reversible. But I haven't seen any kilt, I haven't seen anything else. I mean, why is it legal to start a clothing line with different variations?
Well, I was just talking about for your meetings, just like a Scottish kilt or one of those black utility kilts.
Oh.
For your video meetings, nobody's gonna know you're not wearing anything under them.
I've been trying to talk my husband into a utility kilt for ages, and he's just like, no, and I'm like, why do you hate fun?
Google's Utilikilt.
What's that?
No. Michael's too fashionable for us. Like, no. This is a very like nerd specific thing, my friend.
I'm too fashionable, and I was able to whip up a Star Trek uniform in 30 seconds flat.
That's true.
I mean, I didn't necessarily say that you weren't entirely nerdy. I mean, and as was Roy, by the way, like he was ready.
He changed faster than Batman or Superman jumping into a phone booth.
Right. Like, I mean, I kind of wonder if Roy's got one of those amazing bat poles from like the Adam West days.
He might.
Okay.
Maybe.
So, but we are here not to talk about pants or lack thereof.
But I will say that Richard Dean Anderson, I saw him in an interview when he did Stargate, and he was the general in the Air Force uniform. He actually didn't wear pants when he was behind the desk.
Huh.
Neither did Robert Beltran as Chakotay, but also like Richard Dean. Yeah. Anyway, I have stories.
I'll say this.
However, we are here.
That queen is wearing pants now.
Picard.
Let's talk about Picard.
Back to topic.
Okay, let's come back to the topic. So it is season 2, episode 5 of Star Trek Picard, where
Marco's not here, but I'm blaming him, by the way, like completely.
Where they are redeeming themselves from season 1, as Michael would say. So we are actually glad that we are in his good review graces today, because I'm interested in hearing his point of view of how this episode turned out. Because as Marie said earlier, it is a hot mess. And if you remember me, I love nothing but mess. I love drama, hell, and high water. I just love the tea. So today's episode.
I swear to God, I'm just gonna mail you or have Amazon like mail you a tiara, and that's what we're gonna do.
I can't help it. I literally watched this. I watched it like twice on my lunch break, and I was like, like I really couldn't contain myself. I was like, like Jermaine, I love you. I'm sorry, but you shouldn't have left me here, man. You shouldn't have left me here because we about to turn this out. We're about to turn.
All right.
Who wants to do the recap? All right, I'm not good with summaries because I take too long. So who wants to do the summary?
So who's up? Danger did the last one. Hey, Roy or Michael, do you want to take it?
My mama told me to pick over here. Danger, you're it.
All right. Well,
that went like sideways already. Like, well done.
It did go sideways already. All right. Well, in this episode, we see 7 of 9 and. Christ, I can't think of her name now. Her yes, those two. Raffi, that's it. God, I couldn't pull that out for the life of me. 7 of 9 and Raffi. We see them actually liberate Cristobal Rios from the immigrant disappearing bus, and we also see the Borg Queen up to a bunch of shenanigans. The Borg Queen manages to get the ship to tap into the Earth cellular network of 2024, where she immediately places a call to the constabulary of Labar, France, and says she hears a woman screaming in the Picard chateau. All of that, of course, being a ruse to try to get the a policeman, which, you know, if it was an abandoned a vineyard, right there, I don't think I would have sent just a single policeman with a woman screaming. I probably would have sent a couple of cars, but anyway, it's one. And of course, the Borg Queen wants to use him as leverage to try to get into Jurati. We also see.
I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I thought we were moving away from lack of pants, guys.
Nope.
I mean, when I saw that long tentacle, it literally took me to Alien. When what's her name got killed? What was her name? Lambert?
Oh, no. Like I see weird tentacles, and I think Evil Dead because that's how old I am.
I see tentacles, and I think I probably shouldn't say that on here. But yeah, shut up, Mike.
Yeah, so and then we also see Picard meet up with the supervisor, who he calls who he thinks is Laris, but we find out it's not Laris. She's going by a different name. Although I kind of secretly suspect that maybe it is Laris. She just doesn't know she's Laris yet.
But also that suit is fierce.
What's that?
That suit is fierce. I love.
Yeah, it's
all
nice.
parts of that.
Yeah, and so that was cool. And I'll save my favorite part of that for later. And then we also saw Q meet up with the great ancestor of Dr. Sung. And I can't remember what he's some Sung relative in this, but there he is. And in 2024, he's a geneticist, and he has a daughter who has a genetic defect where she can't go out in the sun because the sun will kill her. And so she has to be protected from that. So he's been looking for a cure for this virus, and apparently illegally testing it on soldiers. And as a result, they strip him of his medical license. And then all of a sudden, here comes Q with a special vial that he says, test this out. I think you'll find that it works. And if you find that it works and you want it, and you want to save your daughter's life, come and see me. I need you to do something for me. And so in an interesting little surprise thing, we find out that Dr. Sung's daughter is actually a distant relative of Soji Asha. Or maybe not a relative, because obviously Soshi's an android, but same character, same actor playing that role. So that was pretty cool. It's all kind of coming together here. So let's see. I think that's kind of the high level view of it. Did I miss any salient plot points?
I mean, those are pretty major,
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. So Picard's ancestor is going into the space program.
Yeah, correct.
Well,
so there's a Europa mission that is about to launch in 3 days. Coincidentally, 3 days was the time frame for the pivotal change in time that sent the entire future down the path of authoritarianism. And so they instantly suspect that this is related. And that watcher, that supervisor that is there, is keeping an eye on Renee Picard, who is the astronaut leading the Europa mission. And
unless she goes nuts.
Unless she goes nuts, which apparently Q is trying to facilitate.
With the world's worst accent, like what is John Delancey doing?
Okay, I think I want to make a small argument. I think he's doing that on purpose.
I mean, yes, clearly, clearly,
both the actor and Q.
Yeah,
like as a haha at Jean-Luc's French accent.
Probably.
Can we just never talk about that again? Because that just hurt so badly.
Sorry.
So I would also like. Not to spoil, can we spoil the ending a little bit and talk about what we saw?
We here now. We here.
Yeah.
Like,
spoilers.
No.
We're all about spoilers.
We're here.
Spoil away. Someday.
So, in talking about at the end how we see a little bit of a lean back to the heist that is planned as they are getting ready to visit, where is kind of a pre-party to Picard's ancestor going out into space. And so we kind of find the end of the episode where Agnes has managed to infiltrate her way into the gala so that she can essentially smuggle everyone else inside. And then we are revealed the big plot twist of the episode, which is earlier when Agnes actually shot the Borg Queen, the Borg Queen did not cease to exist. In that moment, she was actually just transferred some level of her consciousness into Agnes, and she is with Agnes as she is preparing to move forward on this mission.
Rule number 1, never get within 5 feet of a Borg tubule.
Right?
Picard literally
Right.
said it. Picard literally said it. Don't let them touch you.
Right.
And yet, he was like, "I'll just sit here and watch."
The
Although,
Queen
you know, that whole thing, like, I think we're really gearing up to see that amazing sort of, you know, that sequence in the trailer.
That
With Agnes in dress and running. And I really sort of feel like this is very much calling back to Babylon 5. Listen to me. No, Battlestar Galactica, the remake. Because, you know, I think they're literally making a visual allusion to Trisha Helfer's character.
In what way?
Which, go them.
In what way?
Because Trisha Helfer's character was also blonde and then rocked a red dress and was a Cylon.
Right. Okay. All right. Now,
But I have to admit, I am looking forward to Picard's 11.
did everyone notice the specific callback to Assignment Earth?
Yes,
Of course.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
yeah,
Because
he
Laris is
actually
apparently Gary Seven's more attractive, like, compatriot.
I want to
Yeah,
see her
right.
turn into a cat.
So, who saw who saw the TOS episode before coming in? I read it somewhere in the Discord. Okay, can you give us an overview of that episode?
So this episode Assignment Earth was actually the last episode of season 2, and it was also a pilot that Gene Roddenberry wanted to put out by the same
He was trying
name.
to sneak it under the radar, really.
Right, try to sneak it. It never took off. So it starts out with the Enterprise did the slingshot maneuver back in time, 1968 Earth, and they're just kind of monitoring things, and then they intercept the transporter beam that's coming from like light years away, and they're like, well, how can there be a transporter beam? It's 1968, they don't have that technology. And then it's Gary Seven and his cat appear, and he's like, hey, you interrupted me, I'm supposed to be down on Earth doing some stuff, and you guys are from the future, obviously, because you have a Vulcan with you. So in essence, he was supposed to, I guess, stop a missile launch because it had a warhead on it, and that would have sent them into World War III, I think. So, but yeah, they were watchers too. And I guess the clue was when he comes out of his when Laris grabbed Picard in the last episode, they ended up in this little blue smoke thing. That's how they disappeared. Well, you see that same blue square smoke thing when Gary Seven appears and disappears. That's like his transporter beam signal.
I have to admit, as far as design goes, I thought that was really neat how they managed to keep the original general shape and suggest it, but also update it so that it looked like it fit within the world of Picard.
Right.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing with On the Edge of Forever when they brought back the Guardian. It's like, ooh, it's TOS reference again.
What I really want to hear is I want to hear the updated Beta 5 computer that Gary Seven had. So in that original Assignment Earth episode, he had his transporter that was in what appeared to be a giant wall safe.
Yeah, safe.
And that's what we see in Laris's apartment, the open door to the wall safe as they materialize out of the smoke. But Gary Seven also had a snobby Beta 5 computer. And so I would love, I doubt we're going to get to see that, but that would be awesome if that were the case.
Don't discount it. I mean, I have to admit, I never expected to see a Gary Seven illusion in any of modern Trek, because mostly Trek is kind of just sort of swept Assignment Earth under the rug as one of the crazy things that happened in TOS.
So if we can we talk a little bit about each character and kind of where they are in this episode and where we're finding them? Particularly, of course, I want to get to Agnes, but I'll say
I was about to say, I feel like really
I'm
trying to sneak in your hate for Agnes.
Hey, you can have Agnes as long as I have the Queen.
Okay. Well, let's start with the Queen. We're
going to have a conversation about that later, William.
So let's start with the Queen, and
the board Queen.
With the Queen, was this all a part of her plan? I mean, she already had partially assimilated Agnes. do you think the whole transfer of her consciousness, that additional transfer of her consciousness into Agnes, was a part of her plan the whole time, and that the police officer was just a dummy, and this was just like a tool? Or do you think she actually kind of had to rework her plan in that moment to get into Agnes and get into the position she wanted to be?
I think the Queen is an amazing opportunist, and I think she is calculating multiple steps ahead and has multiple fail safes. And so I sort of think it's kind of a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B for that. Because I mean, you know, like put yourself in her, I can't really say shoes.
No,
In her
She has some now.
into her torso.
Like her corset, like I
Torso.
You know,
Or her
man,
octopus
this
tail.
review episode is getting really weird, really fast.
She has a tentacle. She has a tentacle.
I'm gonna need you to stop with the tentacle thing. Like
It's not even mechanical. It's like organically mechanical. It could put Squidward to shame. I saw that thing and it was squishy and gray and white and wet. It looked like the cover of First Contact. I was just like, oh my gosh.
I want everybody to notice I am not making the obvious joke because I am showing personal growth.
No, and let's be real. Let's be real. There are two different types of Borg. There's the gray kind and there's the green kind. The gray kind we saw in First Contact. The green kind we see in the Delta Quadrant. This is the First Contact Borg that we saw in the film. This is a gray kind, and that means your ass in trouble. Your ass in trouble. This is the type of Borg that likes to take over ships and shit. So I'm just
but going like moving away from whatever that was, going back to the Borg Queen. I mean, I do think she was hedging her bets, and I think, you know, we were seeing her take advantage. I mean, you know, I think she's aware that there's been some transfer because we knew. No, he's not Marco. No, he's really not. There are no pants. Pants are an illusion.
Well, you know, we know that the Borg Queen can also simultaneously see different futures, right? So maybe she's using that ability to help her take the right path here in order to do what she wants to accomplish.
And I will say that she got that ability. They got that ability from the Elorians because they have a similar ability. And after they were assimilated, maybe that's what was inherited. Because notice that there was like a correlation in either not necessarily seeing, but sensing different types of generalized futures. So I was okay. So, you know, because that's what they do. They assimilate. And if they don't understand something, that means they haven't assimilated it yet. Which I actually want to get into the technicalities of. Well, are we off the Borg Queen yet, or are we on to other characters?
Let's run to a couple more characters.
Okay.
And then let's go through kind of our highlights and lowlights of the episode.
Save Girardi for last.
That's gonna be the fun. All right, so who do we want to go to next? Do we want to talk about like Operation Rescue Rios?
Rios, that is perfect. So we really haven't seen much from Rios in this episode in particular.
He makes
which is deeply disappointing.
But I did see a little quick flash, and I'm sure you all caught it as well, of Elnor. And so I would just ask you all, where do you think Elnor is going, or where do you think that was kind of foreshadowing in this episode, having that moment of Elnor?
That was just Raffi, I think, wishing that she could see him.
I think it was just Raffi imagining that she saw him because the guy looked close to Elnor. I don't think it was really foreshadowing anything other than she's really psychologically damaged by Elnor's death, and her mind wants to see him, so it's making her see him.
And also, I think Evagara's contract required a certain number of appearances.
I was going to say, this gives me the confirmation we needed to know that my ex-boyfriend will still be on the show. This is okay. You know,
I mean, is he your ex-boyfriend if he didn't know he was your ex-boyfriend?
That's beside the point. That's beside the point. Okay, he went and got a girlfriend and put her on Instagram on the gram without my permission. So now I got to get on TikTok and convince everyone to cancel him and now I'm upset. So I'm wearing red, and I'm gonna convince him to wear red, and and put him back in the TOS era.
So William, on this, I actually agree with you. Just because they don't know
I mean,
you're
about the
dating them
boyfriend thing,
doesn't mean you're not
or
dating. So I'm with
We
you.
know
I
that-
support
we know
your
that this
cancellation,
is-
and I support your fictitious love.
Right. We know his character is somewhat here to stay. We know that because he's right there, and we know it's not the last that we'll see of him. Because now I don't know if conversation will be had where she's going to be hallucinating and actually talking to him. I don't know. We'll see more of that in the coming episodes.
Maybe.
But I was just happy, even though I knew straight up, that's not really him. I'm not even gonna pretend like it is. But we know that okay, if you're still here, we see Brent Spiner, we see who's
Brianna.
the girl that played.
Brianna
Yeah,
was
so
fine.
basically everyone.
Issa
who is
Briones.
active-
Issa Briones.
Yeah,
Recycling the actors.
Yeah.
Maris.
so pretty
So,
much
I mean, do we think
everyone's
this is
here.
the end for Annie Wershing too? Because I have to admit, like, I'm really bummed about that because she's been fantastic.
Well,
Well,
I think
it's-
she's going to
it's
be
like
in the
she-
rest of the season because she's going to be everywhere Girardi is
Yep.
Right.
till the end of the season.
Her alter ego or kind of
Right.
like a Jedi there.
She'll be her shadow.
Oh man, she put the Jedi to shame. She put it
So-
to shame. She did that.
I do
We
want
know,
to
we
touch on
know.
one more character or two more characters before we run into Agnes.
7.
Let's talk about 7.
We actually get a hint of their relationship troubles. We get a hint.
That
I would rather them argue about it in the car. It wasn't even a car chase, but the car escape scene. I wish it would have been a car chase. Then that would have been the perfect moment. Well, you did this. Well, you did this. Well, I fucking loved you. You know, like
Yeah, I
whatever.
saw something when they were fighting over the tricorder.
Yeah, something like that. And they were trying to make an EMP to stop the bus. And at that moment, you literally heard one flaw from their relationship from each other. How Rappy is very horrible at facing things, and 7 always runs away from things.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, this is something, but can we please get more? I know the Borg is a bad bitch, but I need to know what. I know what happened. We all know what happened, but how did we get there to where they had to separate, to where they felt like they had to separate? What are your thoughts on their relationship, on what they give us an indication as to what happened?
Yeah, I love that. I actually love that scene, and there was something kind of very Trek about that scene to me,
Okay.
because what to me, Raffi has been kind of off kilter, as you all know, since Elnor's death, and so it just seemed for a moment she kind of got out of her own head and got out of her own space and kind of leaned more so into her training and into that calmness that you see take over in these really tense and tight situations from Star Trek officers. And so in that moment, she was like, you know what? Yes, I'm not all here. I'm not acting appropriately. Let me lean on my team and my partner, both emotionally as well as for just general overall strength and operating. And I just love that. To me, it's always a sign of a true leader and true leadership skill when you recognize your own shortcomings,
Right.
and are able to address those shortcomings. And so she was really able to just kind of grab all of her emotions, set them to the side, and kind of focus on the mission for a bit. And there was something very quintessentially Star Trek about that, that I really loved. And I love that they did it juxtaposed and weaving it into their relationship. Because I think if she would have been having that experience with anyone else, it would not have that wouldn't have been the same outcome, even if it would have been Picard, for instance.
Okay.
I'm actually gonna need you to flesh that out because like the concept of using 7, because I assume like if I remember correctly, I lost the plot a little there. If we're talking about Raffi, right? Like and one really questions the wisdom of using 7 of all people as your emotional bulwark.
But that's what in a relationship, sometimes you don't get what that person gets from them, or what that person, you don't know what that person feels from them. And I think that in that moment, there's a connection for their relationship that she really picked up on, and Seven was able to give her what her need was. And having that need met allowed her to ultimately trust her and focus on the mission at hand and really adhere to the advice and wisdom that she was given.
I can sort of see some logic there in the sense that Raffi is going a little bit to pieces. Like, I'm not really sure that she's quite as good at compartmentalizing as you're implying.
I think in this situation, that's what they showed. Because she didn't have any of the in all of the other episodes this season. She's had these huge like outbursts of anger, these huge impulse like decision making, and in this episode,
which is in line with her first season character.
Say it again.
That's completely in line with who she.
Oh, I agree 1,000%. I'm not saying it's out of alignment, but I'm saying it. Even when she's been focused on the mission and having something very specific to do, she's really been just still kind of like hot-headed and out of control. In this episode, after having that conversation, the last conversation at the end of episode 4, and this conversation with Seven over the tricorder, it seemed that she was able to pull herself together and really focus on the mission. And I think that she was able to do that because she was having these conversations with Seven and no one else. And she was able to really kind of meet that quintessential feeling of an officer and lean back on that officer training because of the relationship, the personal relationship she has with Seven, and being able to trust Seven.
You know, and to add to that, it actually goes in line with Seven's character. She, even since Voyager, her fallback to come closer, as she was transitioning out of the Borg, the closest thing to order was following orders, was following what Janeway said, and that normally would entail mission after mission after mission, which became Seven's anchor, if you will, is what I will say. So because we know, or at least we have evidence of that from Voyager, it would make sense how this would come over into Picard and become a part of Seven's character that Raffi is clinging to, if that makes any sense.
Right, and Seven's grown a lot.
We have to get this done.
Yeah, and Seven's grown a lot since Voyager. I mean, with the Rangers, she probably became a little rough around the edges, when she was with the Fenris Rangers. So she's able to meet Raffi's character a little bit.
Right. I mean, I think Roy's onto something here. I don't think that Voyager era 7 could have pursued a relationship with Raffi. I think
not in that era.
No,
in that time.
No, but I mean, like where she was emotionally, where she was as far as her own development. I think she has to go through the business with B'Jaizel. I think she has to go through the loss of Icheb. I think she has to go through basically the failure of the Federation in her eyes in order to see where Raffi is. And try to meet her. I don't necessarily know that she's actively trying to meet her. I think she's still sorting that out because I think Seven's not entirely sure where she wants this to go. Or she's not entirely certain how to navigate the vicissitudes of this kind of relationship.
That is one of my favorite words ever.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Vicissitude?
Yes.
I'm still trying to figure out what verisimilitude means.
What?
Verisimilitude?
That's what I thought she said, and then
vicissitude, buddy, vicissitude. All right, so
I got you too, girl.
Like the embattled girlfriends.
I think in that we were able to literally squeeze in the last two characters I was trying to talk about before we got to Girardi.
What vicissitude mean? Hold on. What the hell that word mean?
Ebbs and flows, ups and downs.
You could have said that, longitude and latitude. That's all you had to say.
Oh, little baby Jesus.
Just say, like, come on, like, why, Maria?
All right, so let's get to Girardi. And Girardi is kind of a bone of contention because Girardi is guilty of murder. And one of the things I did not like about the first episode of Picard is that she mentions in a throwaway line how she gets out of a penal colony. And I remember thinking, I really feel like we needed to have more, frankly.
Because we got a lot of character development from Tom Paris. We got to know the backstory. We got to know the feelings and the tensions and all that. We don't know a thing about Gerard. And I get it, brand new character, but Tom was a brand new character. So, like, and we needed to know everything we needed to know about him in the first season. But then again, they had 26 episodes back then. So, I don't know.
I mean, but also, I don't think we have a sense that Tom, refresh my memory. Do we ever find out what exactly Tom did to land himself on that penal colony? Because I don't recall.
He was a part of the Maquis for all of 2 seconds.
But I thought, didn't he he got kicked out of the well, we know why he got kicked out, but he got caught with the Maquis. That's why he was actually in the colony, right?
There's 2 reasons. There's
so.
2 reasons. The original reason was that they were supposed to have rights to his TNG character that when that accident happened with what's his
At
name?
the Academy.
Wesley. With Wesley.
Nicholas Locarno is who he played.
Right. So that's technically him. That's technically him, and that's technically the reason they couldn't get the rights to his character. They didn't feel like paying for it. So what they did was he was flushed out of the academy. Something happened. He was sent on a Maquis mission. He joined them for all of 2 seconds. Something went wrong. He got caught, and they arrested him. That's it.
So Tom, not guilty of murder.
Right.
Well, this was okay, but we're talking about Girardi penal colony issue before the murder, before that, right? Or after? She didn't go to a penal colony after season 1, did she?
No, she didn't.
No.
That was actually kind of funny.
This was before, right?
No, we're actually saying that, or at least Michael and I are moderately arguing that maybe some time at a penal colony would have been necessitated by the fact that she stabbed she killed a dude.
I mean, if somebody takes over your mind and forces you to commit a murder, are you really responsible for it?
I don't know if her mind was really taken over. I think
exactly.
I think it was influenced, but I don't think it was taken over. You can receive information and still make it. She wasn't assimilated, like at least not yet. But
if someone plants an image in your mind that is so terrifying that you believe you have to do anything to prevent it, then are you really responsible for that? Because this person gave you this trauma. It's just like, you have a soldier that comes back from war suffering PTSD, and they commit something. Are they really responsible, or should they be punished for that, or should they be given mental treatment?
First off, I'm a little bit. I agree with Marie that she belongs in a Federation penal colony, or belonged in the Federation penal colony. I would disagree with Marie on the amount of time, because I think she should still be locked up. Let me be clear about that.
On the list of things, I gotta say, on the list of things that I expected to talk about tonight, things like Holocaust cloak and mens rea versus versus vaguely
who used and
definitional development of Federation laws was not on the list of things that I expected, I gotta say. So what Danger's pointing to is actually a valid argument that you could make. If in fact Girardi was taken over, if her will was subsumed by whatever Commander O did, then she wouldn't have the necessary mens rea, the bad mind, in order to meet the definition, assuming the Federation has similar jurisprudence. She wouldn't actually meet the definition of having committed the crime. And that would be, that would actually be an argument that you can run. And it's an argument that gets run a lot. But it's kind of complicated to do. However, if all Commander O did was show Girardi the crazy things that she saw in her like weird conclave, then I don't know that we can really make the argument that her will was subsumed in this. And so therefore she goes into the murder of Bruce Maddox aware of what it is that she's doing, and she's doing it deliberately.
Okay, but if you
Every
go back
decision
to
she
season
made-
one, if you go back to season one and you remember the Romulans that are brought to that planet with that artifact where they get those visions, and how many of them just killed themselves outright because the visions that they received were so traumatic they couldn't live with them. And so this traumatic vision is implanted into the mind of Girardi. It's something she can't get rid of. It's like it's
I get what you're saying.
I envision
I
it
get
almost
what
like
you're
a
saying.
psychotic break.
I do. I get
really
what you're
good
saying,
debate.
and what you're leaning toward in this particular instance is like not guilty by reason of mental defect, in the sense that she kind of loses herself. There's
Right.
also like there's also the the temporary insanity type of deal, and not every jurisdiction recognizes temporary insanity as a defense.
We can restore competency and put her on trial.
Well, you know what though? All of her quirks, all of Agnes's quirks, are actually going to be the Borg Queen's downfall, because the Borg Queen knows Agnes. The Borg Queen is exploiting her loneliness and everything. So all of Girardi's flaws, they're going to somehow be incorporated into the Borg Queen, and that's going to be her downfall eventually.
So, and if I may,
So we're having a Hume episode is pretty much what we're having.
sorry, say that again.
So we're having a Hugh episode where pretty much he went back to the collective, and then when he got reassimilated, a few of them became individuals, and then all hell broke loose before Lore came along. Is that what you're
Can
saying?
we talk about how amazing it would be to see a Borg Queen with crippling anxiety?
I mean, we saw. I mean, we saw that when she melted in First Contact. We saw that when Janeway showed out on her. Like,
I gotta tell you, I don't remember crippling anxiety in
all
First
I-
Contact.
which-
All I
which
remember
spring?
is Alice Krieg making me question all of my assumptions about my sexuality.
We're here, people. We're here.
okay,
We're
y'all
going.
on to me.
But
Marie
Marie was the adult for the evening, but I'll take that cap on.
Oh my God! Look,
No, to be fair, I actually think the
how-
adults are danger in
I
Roy.
saw-
And
I
Roy is
saw-
just sitting there going, "Why am I here with these crazy?"
I
I
literally
think Annie's doing a great
I'll
job.
tell you something. I'm gonna
Third
tell you
version of the Borg
She is.
Queen.
I literally
Yes.
saw 5 different personalities in the Borg Queen just as she was dying. I even heard her sound like a dude. I was like, oh my God, her voice got deep. Oh my God, she's serious. Oh, she's emotional. She's a Karen. She's this, she's that. She literally did so many, a whole range. Alice, you're bomb. You're this just
But Annie Wershing is killing it, and I
That's her
really,
name,
really
Annie.
hope.
Yeah.
I mean, because I have to admit, my first thought when Girardi like offs the Borg
took
Queen
her hand and
was
just
that I wasn't ready to lose her yet.
the Queen.
Well, you
Yeah.
haven't.
I mean, no one is like. I mean, she's.
I mean, again, I have to admit, I haven't really followed Wershing's work, and so she's kind of like Santiago Cabrera in that she's coming. Like in my experience, she's coming out of left field. They both have been working for ages and have done tremendous things. But like, y'all, I mean, we have got an amazing supporting cast kind of floating around in this.
Who Annie played in Enterprise? Is that correct?
Yes, Oasis,
Yeah,
Well, who was she?
Liana.
Mhm.
Liana, and Oasis.
Yep.
Okay. And how was she? I actually completely forgot. How was she then?
She was
Fine. It was. I think it was like her acting debut. So
Yeah, like I mean, I also don't think she was that major a character, really.
All I know is they better put her in a bunch of stuff from now on, because this is taking the cake. Like, to have so many split personalities, as far as not split personalities, expressing different personalities just to try and win over Girardi, and did. and did. Like,
And I have to admit, like, I really have liked the chemistry between Annie Wershing and I know, again, I know you don't like Girardi, Michael, but I've really enjoyed the chemistry between Annie Wershing and Alison Pill, actually.
Yeah.
grooming her to
I
be
will
the
say-
next queen.
I will say I'm loving. I don't like Agnes for a number of reasons. We can probably do a whole show on it. But essentially, the same destructive pattern of behavior that she demonstrated in season 1 that she should have been locked up for and been in a penal colony for, she's starting to display again in her interactions with the Borg Queen. She has put the entire ship in jeopardy multiple times, and the entire mission in jeopardy because she just refuses to get a hold of herself and around the Borg Queen. But we will not get into. I will not divulge. I won't let my hatred of her character take up that much more time. But I will say,
So basically, what I'm saying, so
she
what
is
you're saying
acting
is
her butt
I'm
off.
not the only one showing personal growth here.
Everyone has shown personal growth. She's saying you're showing personal growth, Michael.
Oh, well, thank you.
But I'll say what he wants to say. Basically, they asked Girardi to leave the Oscars, and she refused to leave.
You know what? Here's what I want to know. I want to know how a shotgun on the mantle in a chateau that's got no windows, that's been derelict since World War II.
How's it
and
going
now
to work?
2024 works fine and is loaded with shells, or maybe there's just shells sitting around there.
Danger. Are you looking for realism
Reality?
in your Star Trek?
Yes.
I
Where
thought the
have
same
you
thing.
been?
I thought the same
There's
thing.
a
No way that
whole-
thing's going to work. No way that
No,
thing's going
no.
to work.
There's a whole open field.
Why haven't French kids gone in there and stolen it?
Because it looked like it didn't work.
Oh, give me a break.
Well, but
I mean, I want to tell you,
Take it
like,
no matter what.
Danger's not
Danger
wrong
to
here.
your
Like,
point.
I mean, the French kids would have gone in there and plundered that. I mean, we're talking about a
Completely.
country that gave us the Garden Gnome Liberation Front.
I mean, the last episode, do you think that bottle of wine, Chateau Picard wine, would have still been in there? Hell no, it wouldn't have been. That place would have been used every Friday night and Saturday night by local French kids as a party house.
Okay, do you really think as young French boys as gun hungry as us Americans are?
No, I don't.
They
I
would
don't
have
think that's
taken it.
true, but I think he's right
done
about.
what?
Bought
Sold
booze
it,
with it. Yeah, bought booze with it or
kept
something.
it as a
I
souvenir.
don't know. And besides, who wants to go into that asbestos-hailed house that deep and go and grab a gun that they were probably too short to grab anyway? Like,
Kids would not care. And
They
French
figured
I
kids
mean,
in
I gotta tell you,
2024 are tall.
I can remember crawling through a number of derelict homes. As
Yes.
a kid.
Hell yes.
Americans, we do that. Like, this is what we do. We're nosy. We grab guns. This is our thing.
Kids everywhere are the same. They're curious. They'll go in and explore.
All right,
They have
Sarah.
raging hormones. There'll be men and women going in there.
Danger.
And-
I agree with the premise, but I will say that the chateau is isolated enough that they were able to crash a starship without it being a huge.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I think that there's
That
a
right
little-
there actually is the part that bugged me the most, right? That somehow in 2024, I mean, we know in 2022 that we're monitoring like crazy people, right? I mean,
But
for a
they've
lot
got
of
deflector
things. We're
screens that
looking for
wouldn't have
missiles,
shown
we're
up
looking
on
for,
radar,
like,
right?
we're looking for aggression from other countries. You can't convince me that in 2 years somebody was like, yeah, no, it's not a big deal anymore.
I mean, they were able to spot Voyager in the 90s.
So yeah, like I mean that was another
Yeah, but
thing
they've
that
got deflector screens. When Kirk was back on assignment Earth, for example, they said, hey, we're going to be visible to the radar of the time. Bring up our deflector screens to shield us from their detection. So if they had their deflector screens on, which I'm sure they did, having to fly so close to the sun, they would have had those on anyway. They were probably invisible to radar. So, and they're coming down at night. They're crashing into a forested area somewhere in the heart of France, wherever Labar is. I haven't looked at a map, but I think it's plausible that they came down with nobody noticing.
Then it is also plausible that maybe kids didn't find the place.
Thank you. Since we're here, since we are
But
here,
so guys, I do
France
want us to
is
get in some
literally
highs and
a
lows
country
here for the
where
episode.
You rent a pig on Sunday afternoon and go tromping through the woods looking for mushrooms. You are never going to convince me that bored French teenagers did not find that chateau. Like, you're just not going to convince me.
Especially in 60 years.
Again, I have spent far too much time in my life tromping around the woods after an enormous pig looking for mushrooms. You know.
Okay. I will agree to disagree. But I think that to both points, I think that there is sufficient reason for the children to find the house, sufficient reasons for them not to find the house. But ultimately, we could have had some more placement in the last episode of that shotgun and maybe some random shells to speak to this a little bit more.
Well,
but
we didn't
hey guys, hey, we've got about 10 more minutes. Can we talk about Q?
Yes.
Sure. So basically, he's dying.
You think?
He said a sentence. He said something along the lines of time is not on my side and I'm running out of it. Q doesn't have a concept. They have a concept of time in our universe, but why would you be worried about time? You're Q unless you were running out of it. You're dying.
I mean, or in the alternative, he's in the process of trying to convince Renee Picard that he's running out of time to get her off the Europa mission.
Right.
But he also is losing some of his power.
Right.
A lot of his power.
A lot of his power. Yep. Like, he needs something. The question is, what does he need that would require him to change the past? That would keep him, I'm assuming it's just a theory of mine, that would keep him alive in the future. What did the Soong family line do? What power source? Hey Brandon, what's up? It's my friend Brandon. Everyone say hi. He wants to be a Trekkie.
Hey.
Come on and join.
Well, here's my thought. I'm wondering if this is actually, we're not seeing a current Q. What we're seeing is Q that had previously come back in time and made this change and now regrets it. And so the Q that we're seeing as the doctor, the psychologist that's trying to talk her out of the Europa mission, is different from the Q that's talking to Soong. The Q that's talking to Soong is the current Q that's trying to maybe help the timeline and correct what he did previously, that maybe this is the only way he can fix it. I don't know.
Well, this is
and maybe the possibility of two Qs being together in the same time period is what's messing with his power. I don't know, just a thought.
Danger, go to the writer's room.
That's not bad.
That is what I'm talking
Marie,
about.
You gotta give him better than not bad. That would be excellent.
That is what I'm talking about. That and then he beats up the other Q, and that other Q turns into an Armis. Boom.
So then how? So my question to you is, how are we going to relate that back to what we've got as, being established as one of the major thematic arcs, which is this exploration of, Picard's emotional life?
As much as I understand that this season of Picard as a whole is a very climactic series, no different than Discovery, but like TNG in the episodic episodes, they have secondary and sometimes third storylines. So
but what's interesting about it is that modern Trek, 2020's Trek, has been maybe not quite as obvious as Discovery season 4, But they've been working with a central theme, and they build off of that central theme. And if you pay attention, all of those secondary and tertiary and even quaternary storylines actually feed back into the same sort of thematic pillars.
Right.
Any thoughts, anyone?
I don't know. I'm
I
not
just
sure how they're going to
overall-
do that.
I know that with binging, the arc thing has to be a thing. I liked episodic. I like, that every episode had a start and an end, and then you just could not watch it for a few weeks and just watch a new show. Maybe I'm just old school, but I'm not really big in the whole, everything has to be an arc.
Right.
It's like a long movie, like we're watching. And it's only because of the binging and the streaming media that's led to that.
Except that CBS is making Paramount, whatever, Viacom, is making a deliberate choice to dole this out once a week, which is great because it gives us the opportunity
to talk about
this every week, right?
Right.
But I mean, CBS I keep calling them CBS, but insert the appropriate corporation name here. They're making the deliberate choice to slow down our consumption of the media. And some of that has to do with how their profit model works for Paramount Plus, but I think some of it also has to do with what they're trying to do with the story.
So is this a story issue or is this a marketing issue? Where are we right now? I think
it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B.
Okay.
But Marie, to your point, to your question about how it intertwines, I think in all honesty, I don't think it has. I get what you're saying, that has been the typical theme that has happened consistently throughout these Trek series. But I really don't think this love interaction has to have that tight bow on it. I think that it is.
I would agree with you, except for the interactions that he's had with Q going forward. There's, every time Q has interacted with Picard, there's been this whole conversation of, this is what you know, this is the life you know. Like, what if you? I mean, I almost feel like we're building on the foundation that we saw in Tapestry for this season.
What's Tapestry?
Tapestry is the one where, the heart thing.
Oh, yes. Perfect. Got it. I do not know episode names.
Except this one more so about Q than it is about
and
Picard.
we see Q appearing by Picard in all of these moments, right? When he's just like, they're in the previous episode, they're facing, the Confederation, fleet basically that's going to blow them up. And Q appears by Picard and is like, this is the life you know. And there seems to be this emphasis on, the path less traveled, the path you didn't travel. Like, what do you not know? Like, what are we doing with your emotional life? And that's certainly, that backs up with his interactions with both, modern Guinan and then 2024 Guinan as well.
So here's one thought that I'm having, like, kind of how it may weave. So we know that Picard is going to end after season 3.
Yeah.
And so this,
I'm still grieving that, by the way.
Still grieving that too.
Based upon how season 2 is, I'm starting to grieve. And so with that, I think that what we may be experiencing is kind of a setup for the end with this love, and kind of where Picard is going, and what pulls him away from the stars altogether is that alternative path, and really setting it up for his exit in his true entrance into civilian life, and really stepping away out of that shadow, out of the shadow of of the stars, and out of the shadow of Starfleet. That's a possibility. I don't have any supporting evidence.
How would you square that theory with the Borg, like the modern Borg Queen, not Annie Wershing, but like the terrifying Tron Borg Queen? How would you square that with what she says, which is, look up?
Give me a little bit more there.
He was
Well,
trying to
right
remind him
before the switch.
what his mother said to him
Mm-hmm.
when he was a little boy.
That's the
Oh.
last thing the Borg Queen says before he self-destructs the ship.
The Stargazer, yeah.
Yeah.
It means that the queen even then knew something.
Right. And I think that's going to come back, as we move through the rest of the series.
I just pray that they don't make the Borg like some iteration of his mother, like the Borg Queen. It would be great if it was like Agnes, and then I could have even more of a reason to hate her. But
So basically, ladies and gentlemen, to Michael, Girardi is the devil.
Right. I mean, you're seriously getting into Kai Wynn levels of loathing.
Can't no one touch Kai Wynn. I mean,
I just think she.
Here's to Louise Fletcher, by the way.
Say it again.
Here's to Louise Fletcher.
Yes.
Yeah, Ratchet self. Yeah.
I just really think that Agnes. I think that they've written a character that gets off scot-free, is able to make all of these terrible decisions, never face consequences, and is just doing what she wants to do, and everyone else has to suffer for her poor decisions, and I don't support it.
Yeah, she's a loose cannon. She's just kind of all over the place. I mean, she's a drunk, she's drinking.
Hear me out.
Are you saying she made a poor decision killing the police or killing the Borg Queen?
Maybe. Well, listen. The justice system probably at the time is definitely not what Discovery evolved to in how they handled Book. Because they could have locked him away and thrown him away and called it quit and called it done. Instead, they're using, what did you call it, Marie? A rehabilitative?
Restorative justice.
Restorative justice model. Which we've seen over and over again in the TNG era that they do not have. So
only because in the 90s, they were only starting to make those steps.
Yeah. So if they're going off and on about that, it would stand to reason that Girardi might fall in that gray area the same way. Because what I'm hearing right now is literally the same argument Harry and Janeway had, which was a beautiful one-shot camera from conference room to bridge to ready room. I thought that was beautiful and just magnificent camera work. But basically, Janeway said to Harry, "Stow it away, Ensign. The only reason I'm not throwing you in the brig is because of this doctor's report. Now get off my bridge." And basically, the doctor's saying he was under the influence. He was mind controlled. Janeway wants to believe that you slept with this girl on your own accord, and the only thing that's saving you is this doctor's report, which is what I feel we're having this debate over Girardi right now.
Right. That sounds logical to me.
I don't think it should have saved her. I don't. I just don't.
We are at an hour and 2 minutes. So my final question to everybody on this is, what do we think Picard's 11 is going to be next week?
Ooh.
Picard's what?
Picard's 11.
Is that the name of the episode, 11?
No, we're going to, it's a heist episode.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh.
Like Ocean's 11.
Like 7-Eleven.
See, here I am trying to be funny and clever.
Yeah.
Robert was killing it.
I was with you, Marie. I was with you the whole time.
Don't sit there and tell that lie.
It's going to be interesting to see how Agnes is able to kind of get out of this situation. I'm very interested to see, but I think that I'm wondering to see who's going to break the cover first, because at some point someone's going to have to say we're from the future. It always happens.
I mean, did we ever? We never recover Rios's magical communicator.
Not yet.
Not yet. Which means we'll see that character later on in the season.
What character?
Rios's friend.
Oh, the one that was.
You mean Teresa or her son?
The woman.
The doctor. Well, I guess the son too. I guess the son too. But yeah, her. Yeah.
Yeah.
She can Han Solo her way in the end.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see how much homage they pay to DS9.
Right.
And so I'm actually excited for it. I think that they mashed so many episodes into this. And to Marie's point, I understand why you say it's a hot mess, but I think it actually they did it well.
Yeah, I loved it.
It's
I thought it
too
was
many
great.
plot lines, guys.
No,
we
I
are
like it.
literally
That's what
having
happens
I mean,
when
we
you
have not actually managed to cover, again, an hour and 4 minutes. We have not actually managed to fully cover everything because
That's
there are
the beauty.
too
That's the
many
beauty
plot
of it.
lines.
Realistically, I don't think we're going to.
No, and I think that's
Hard.
the beauty of it. There's so much going on there. It's such a complex episode. I love all the different threads that are in there, and just tugging on those to try to figure out where they're going with it. I think it's great.
I think
Roy, what do you think about next week's episode?
Well, the pivotal character, of course, is the Picard ancestor. She's almost like the Amelia Earhart of the time,
Right.
It's like, is she going to do this thing or is she not going to do this thing? So obviously we're going to find out why she either needs to do it or not do it. And if Q is going to be successful in that, and I'm sure that at the end of the season, they'll fix the timeline and we'll live happily ever after, right? It's just the trying to get there, the journey that they're taking us on. So
I'm just wondering if Dr. Soong is going to be tasked with either doing something with Renee Picard or with stopping the Q that I think is a past Q.
What if that's the change? What if the change is that rogue Q, if you will, gives Soong a cure for his daughter that wasn't anticipated, and people who should have died start surviving.
Yeah.
I thought that what the change might be is, instead of, everyone's assuming that she's supposed to take this voyage. What if the change is they force her onto the voyage when she's actually not supposed to take it? I think I would like there to be some twist like that. I think that would make things very, very interesting. Because we're all, but at no point has this ever been mentioned that Picard's ancestors went to space.
Well.
No, he does. He actually does.
He didn't say
to Starfleet Academy when he's congratulating Elnor for being the full-blooded Romulan that he is.
Yeah, he goes into family history and generations.
Also, we have not mentioned the fact that Renee may be the ancestor for whom the dead nephew is named.
Renee
could be.
Well, this Renee has two E's. That Renee had one E.
Yes, because he's a boy and she's a girl.
Oh well.
That's how that works.
Okay, yeah.
There's your French lesson for the day.
Yeah.
And also, interestingly enough, I kind of love that that's the name they chose for her, because it literally means rebirth.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think,
there's this implication. There's this implication that Renee Picard, like the ancestor, is going to be participating in this rebirth of humanity, that she's going out to experience, whatever it is, and possibly first contact, somehow. Because again, we're going to have yet another first contact that doesn't count somehow. And then Renee, the boy, represents the rebirth of all of Picard's hopes for his family.
Well, and we don't know that this first contact doesn't really count, right? So she goes out there, she finds this sentient life and brings it back, and maybe that's what changes Earth's view of everything and becomes more acceptance.
Do not disrupt our first contact videos, because if you do,
now hold on. No, here's what I'm gonna say.
Because we are celebrating first contact on April 10th.
I'm not changing any of that. What I'm saying is that they've already said in the episode how the records and history of this time period are very sparse and scattered. So it's possible that this was technically a first contact, but all record of it has been lost. So from the perspective of, you know, the next gen folks who went back in time, you know, and saw, what's his name? God damn it.
Cochrane?
Cochrane.
Cochrane.
You know, make first contact with the Vulcans. That still stays because that's what we know about.
I'm
This
literally
is
going to
just
need
a
you to
little.
save this. I'm going to need
This
you
is
to
a
save
little
this for next
secret
Tuesday.
little thing that, you know, only a few
Look at me,
people are
look at
going to
me.
know.
I'm going to need you to save this for next Tuesday because this is when we're really going to get into that.
All right. All right.
Danger, I think you're getting on that marathon again, that marathon path.
So and also, since we are now at an hour 10, I'm going to go ahead and plug the fact that we are posting every day an exploration of First Contact, and we will finish with a very special Tuesday live episode about First Contacts. And Danger is going to flesh out what he was just talking about on that Tuesday.
That's right.
I'm putting you on the hook now.
All right.
Yeah,
I'll have it all together. I'll be ready.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to our hour and 10 long. Usually when it goes over an hour, that means the conversation was like really, really good. Like we completely,
And in this case, it was just all over the map, really.
Oh yeah. And we completely just not like missed, but we talked about the philosophical, the historical context of all of it, and just completely ignored the part that all the Borg Queen had to do was touch Girardi's cheek and I won't say assimilated, but incorporated herself into her mind. But we're going to get into that later on when we figure out more of their character development. Thank you so much. My name is William Wofford with my friends Roy, Danger, Marie, and Michael. And yeah, live long and prosper.
Qapla'.
Qapla'.
Now, again, I'm going to say this again because we're near the end of our show. If you are our allies, we are not talking to you. We are not talking to you. This does not... Okay? We're not talking to you. Stop trying to take our and make it your goddamn business. It ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't got nothing to do with you.
Our experience of grief independently.
Bruh.
Yes.
I love that they're in the comments.
So much is like I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah. They should brought their child out. It's such a good point, Will. God, that's such a good point. And he's really thought about it too. You should be here. William, get over here.
I thought he had a girlfriend on Insta. It's been ages since I've mucked about, but
Okay, moving on. Let's move on.
we gotta move on.